What's going on YouTube? Earth Power here with CVH.
What's up, everybody?
We have another deck profile for you today. Today is Darkness Fire Deckout, the 40
Oh
card
yeah.
version with the Finland ban list. So, I don't like this deck.
All
Christian, you
right.
can you can.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time for a deck that Carl likes more. I was just personally excited to see this deck because I'm not going to say uninteractive because technically you are interacting, but decks that
You might
kind of
keep you in.
grind it out, and nothing is grindier than preventing your opponent from sticking cards on the board, really. So yeah, I saw this deck on one of the European YouTube channels. Can't remember which one. I knew at that point there was no doubt in my mind I had to adapt it for the Finnish format that we've been playing. And this is the list that we all settled on after going back and forth on some removal numbers mostly. And I say that because the whole deck is removal. So basically all you can adjust are the numbers of removal you're playing. And you just have to find the right balance, the right curve to basically deal with everything your opponent plays on their respective curves. See what your meta's like. How many Crimson Hammers do you need? How many Searing Waves, Volcano Chargers, things like that. This is what we landed on. Really, I mean, if you can't tell how the deck wins by looking at it, I don't know how much we can help you. It just kills everything your opponent plays until they run out of cards.
Yeah, I think there's justification for possibly more discard with this deck, and then some of the weenie removal. So like the three Crimson Hammer, three Spastic, two Volcano Charger. That's kind of where we landed. We've kind of wanted to dedicate eight-ish spots to every part of the game. So turns 2 through 3. Eight solid removal pieces that can deal with cards that come onto the board between turn 2 and 3. Another eight or so cards that can deal with cards that come onto the board between 4 and 5. And then just all the solid removal in Terror Pit, Apocalypse Vice, things like that. Hopeless Vortex gives you another version of Terror Pit, so you essentially have seven in the deck.
Yeah, which turns out
Proclamation,
like you really do
a
need that
whole
many. It
other.
doesn't seem like you would, but you literally have to kill everything your opponent plays in their whole deck that they draw, you know?
Yeah, the downside to this deck is that there is no way to cycle removal. So once you use it or mana it, it's gone. So playing your numbers and understanding your matchups with this deck is important. While it seems like it should just be play the card in my hand that deals with the card, like there is some strategy there, which sounds funny, but I think for those of you who are uh, veterans of the game, I think you guys understand that. But like manning in this deck can be incredibly important just because you got to play towards your removal and not run out of terror pits, for decks
Mhm.
that can cycle out and things of that nature. And, Slash Charge and Future Slash help you get there, obviously. But, um, just playing the removal correctly, knowing when to play your wide removal, even to take the +1 if there's two creatures on board with the Wave or the Blizzard is important instead of waiting sometimes. So it's just
Yeah,
important to know when to do that.
depending on your meta, you could maybe like cut one Squito, add a Lost Soul, add another Volcano Charger or a Spastic or something like that. But really, the deck was kind of refreshing and even didn't have light, which could have been good. But like, it's kind of refreshing to always have removal in your hand ready to go. As opposed to if you're playing cards like Foul and Belix, yeah, they get you more removal. But if your opponent has a threat and you just have a foul, you have the removal next turn, but you might not have the time this turn, and then you're losing those shields that you wouldn't have lost originally. So it really is like you just said, is about pacing out your removal, making sure you're using the right piece at the right time. Quick shout out to Motorcycle Mutant, which is a card I don't think either of us have ever played before. But it's
Yeah.
just a massive, massive blocker that does not die when it wins the battle. It dies when you try to put another creature into the battle zone. So just time that right with your Deklowaz, we should be good to go.
Yeah, and yeah, like Christian mentioned, I think the one card that this deck wants to see more of, and if we end up running versions of this in the future, just more discard. It's that realization that you can't really affect your opponent's hand. So if they know you're playing deck out, it's kind of the glass cannon in that way. Like decks can play against it, and that's where your wide removal comes into play. But like having cards like Lost Soul can, I think, prevent your opponent from doing that, and that might have been a hindsight. But it's more discard. I think is the only thing I would want more of in decks like this in the future. But this list is pretty solid, and you'll see it up against light dark nature totem mid range coming up in the bracket tournament here in the next day or two.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got. Hope you
All right.
guys enjoyed. I know I didn't. We'll catch you guys next time.
Peace.
Peace.